Hey everyone, welcome back for another developer interview. In today's video, I'm speaking with Serge, the creator of a Quake 3 arena mod called Bloodrun. This mod has already gained some traction within the Quake scene and has already been played by professional players in a tournament. Serge is an industry professional with over 10 years experience and one of the co-owners of the studio, General Arcade, who have worked on games such as Ion Fury, Hotline Miami, and Project Zomboid. Bloodrun is a recreation of Quake champions inside of Quake 3 Arena. I think it's really awesome, and so I hope you enjoy this interview. Please note that Sergey's native language is not English, so please remember to turn on captions if you're having trouble following along. Let's get into it. Today I'm speaking with Serge, who has a Quake 3 arena mod for us. It's called Bloodrun. It's something that's started to make the rounds on Reddit, and so we're going to talk about this mod. It's basically Quake Champions, but being remade in Quake 3 Arena. So Serge, thank you very much for joining me today. How are you?
I'm good, and thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. Well, I guess my first question is going to be the big one. Can you please tell us a little bit about your project, Quake 3 Bloodrun?
Sure. So currently I'm working on this project for 1.5 years, and this is my passion project, my hobby, and I started it to fulfill my need in some kind of hobby. I am a professional software developer and never had such kind of projects. So I was thinking about what it should be. Eventually I decided that since I love Quake 3 that much, and also I'm very big fan of Quake Champions, I should try to re-implement Quake Champions gameplay on top of Quake 3 engine.
I've had a chance to play Quake 3 Bloodrun, as we can find it at bloodrun.net, correct? That's your website, right?
Yeah.
And as of right now, there are a few servers up. You can play against the bots as well. The way that I heard about it is that somebody commented on one of my YouTube videos saying, hey, you need to check out Bloodrun. And then I searched it up and I found a Reddit post that had a link to a private competition with a bunch of professional Russian-based professional Quake players playing it. Can you kind of tell me a little bit of the history of how you started this project and how just in a year and a half you're already getting professional Quake players to play your mod?
When I was starting my project, I was just a viewer. I never knew any pro players. I was just watching how they play all these tournaments and stuff like that. So all of them, they were just like TV stars, celebrities. And around a year ago, guys from St. Petersburg, they call themselves RESP, R-E-S-P, Russian Esports Project. They decided to hold like a small LAN tournament. I don't know, maybe it's like a set of show matches. They invited professional players, Cypher, Caller, Agent, Base. And I just decided to attend this event, just go to St. Petersburg and just watch it. We had like small talks with different guys, and I was sharing some thoughts about my project. But one of the guys from RESP, he approached me with very big interest. I had nothing to show because it was a very early stage. So we decided that I'm going to prepare some kind of preview build for them in a month. So that's how I got my first deadline on my hobby project. When I finally sent them this preview build, they tried to play it, but after they tried, they just became my first fans of my project. I mean, they know every Quake Pro player, and they often hold small tournaments. So they decided to do some events based on my game.
That's really great. And that has to be really exciting for you as well, to be a fan of all these pro players, and now they're all playing your game that you made. Originally, when you started the Bloodrun project, was it going to be a private mod just specifically for these show matches with the pros? I mean, now it's obviously public. I've played it. Other people obviously are as well. It's getting some good attention. Was that always the plan, was to release it to the public, or were you going to keep it private?
I was going to make it public, of course, when it's ready to be public. So it's going to be free game available for everyone. It's open source.
Going into a little bit about your background, you already told us that you are a software engineer. Are you self-taught? Do you work in the video game industry? Can you elaborate on that just a little bit?
I got my university education. It's computer science education, so I'm not self-taught. I got like proper education back then, and I was working in software engineering industry since I graduated. In video game industry, I think I'm here since 2013.
Well, what about your gaming history? Did you play, mostly shooter games growing up and classic shooter games?
It's very interesting because when I was a kid, our father bought us so it's like pirate version of NES or stuff like that. Since then, I always preferred games where you play against each other. It's not like single-player games. So it's like Mortal Kombat fighting games and stuff like that. They were my favorites. And when I got my first computer, I've seen Quake 3 Arena game and immediately became a big fan of this game. Don't like playing single player games that much. So I guess I only played Half-Life 2. The most time I spent in games it was Quake 3, Quake Live, Team Fortress 2, Half-Life, multiplayer Half-Life, because I never finished the single-player campaign, and of course Quake Champions. The list of my games is not too big.
Well, that's okay. You're obviously playing the classics and the really good ones. I'm a big Quake 3 player as well. It's one of the games I've probably sunk the most hours into. Going back to talking about Bloodrun a little bit, it's obviously in the early development with just a few champions that are finished and just, two real solid maps, QCDM1 and QCDM3, I believe. What's your final vision for the mod in terms of champions and maps? Do you kind of have a thought about what you'd like to accomplish there?
The original idea is to re-implement the Quake Champions gameplay. Like the first big milestone in my project is to re-implementing all the champions. I'm going to re-implement the best maps from Quake Champions, and then starting making our own maps or maybe invite other map makers. I'm not focusing on duels only. I'm also thinking of implementing other game modes, especially CTF, Clan Arena, when the basics are finished. For example, from Diabotical, it's very interesting the golden frag mechanics. So
that sounds really fantastic. For me personally, I've never really been as into Quake Champions as I was into Quake 3. The game just never quite felt like it captured the Quake 3 magic for me. However, the Quake Champions Heroes is a really cool concept, and so games like Quake Champions Doom Edition to me was really exciting when I found that. So I'm even more excited to see your project, Sergey, because I love the idea of playing Quake Champions in Quake 3, and I think a lot of people are going to feel the exact same way. I've noticed that you've created some different art for the weapons. They are kind of like the Quake 3 models, but they've been upgraded to look a little bit different. Is your goal to upgrade the art of the champions as well?
Speaking of weapons, it's not my work, so I found this model pack on ModDB, so it's free. It's freely available, and I asked permission from its author to use in my game. So when I started to dive deeper into Quake 3 technologies, so how it works inside, and I've seen that many things are far from perfect, and especially the player models. It's very difficult to create a new player model in Quake 3. They used some proprietary plugin for 3D Max back then, and currently it's almost impossible to reproduce this asset pipeline. All of the modern tools, all content creation tools, they work with skeletal animations, and player animations in Quake 3 are not skeletal. It's just frame by frame animation. The player model consists of three parts: legs, torso, and head. connected in specific way, and preparing data for Quake 3 just to display a new animated model is just hell. So I already spent quite a lot of time on it just to develop the asset pipeline, just to upgrade the visuals without upgrading the engine. And it looks like at this moment I already, surrendered. I'm not gonna try in this direction. I think I'm gonna improve the engine to support some skeletal animation tech. We are going to upgrade the visuals, and I would say even more. One of our goals is to make this game standalone. Just remove any dependencies on Quake 3 assets.
I've heard that before about Quake 3 Arena and some id Tech, and not only just with Quake 3, but Quake 1 and Quake 2 as well, and how difficult sometimes it can be to change things in the game. If you're going to make this standalone, obviously it will be based off of the Quake 3 engine. What big changes have to go into it to be able to accomplish that?
Yeah, in order to make it standalone, you don't need to do anything with the code. So the engine is fine, so it's open source. There are no problems to making it standalone. What is needed to make it standalone is just to replace all the game assets like textures, sounds, I don't know, some 3D models, rework the game UI and stuff like that.
Got it. So it will feel and play like Quake 3, but it won't really look like Quake 3 anymore in the end is kind of your goal.
Yeah, so you might think of it like, open arena game.
Yeah, for sure. I'm familiar with that one.
So it's you can think of it like what Open Arena guys did. So that's what we are gonna do, but with our own artistic vision.
I love it, man. It sounds great. All right, well, I'm getting kind of towards the end of my questions here, but can you share any other projects that you've worked on that maybe people would know about? Is there anything about yourself that you'd like to share with anybody, or so people can get to know you a little bit better?
Actually, you can find an advertisement of my company, the company I work for, on both of the maps we created. So we have our company name here.
Oh, little Easter egg.
Yeah, because it's not like a company I'm working for. I'm one of the founders of that company, so that's why I put like this our company logo. We were working on Iron Fury console ports. I participated in this project deeply. Metal Wolf Chaos XD, published by Devolver Digital. I also participated in working on Project Zomboid.
Well, thanks for sharing that bit of background information. I don't really have any more questions for you. Is there anything else about Bloodrun that you'd like to share? Do you have any champions coming out that you want to tease, or any updates that you're going to have coming out soon? Or where can people go to learn more and to stay in touch with your project?
We have our Discord channel, and also even in English, so anyone who is interested can join us. One of the ideas behind my project was the game preservation, because Bethesda can shut down the servers, I don't know, any day, maybe tomorrow or like in a week, in a month, and Quake Champions is gonna be lost forever. So, and I'm a big fan of Quake Champions, so I'm trying to save this game in some form.
Well, I have one more question that I just thought about. We were talking a little bit earlier about characters and how hard it is to change art assets in id Tech 3. I know you're going to go standalone at some point, but before you do that, I'm assuming you're going to want to implement most of the characters into what you have now. So will you, for example, when you need to create a champion like Strog, who is in Quake Champions, but he's not in Quake 3, how will you create something like that? Will you just use a random Quake 3 character like Zero or something like that?
I haven't decided yet. It's very difficult, because Strog has its own distinct appearance. And replacing this model with something else looks not right. So I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with this. If I have time to put some skeletal animations tech into this engine, then we are going to create a new model for Strog. Otherwise, maybe we can do another attempt and create proper Quake 3 model for Stroke, and I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's tricky. It makes sense, and it was something that just, like I said, it just popped into my head. I wanted to ask about, just mostly for my own curiosity. I guess one last final question: are we going to be able to see any more professional players playing this mod anytime soon, or are we going to have to wait a while before they try it out again?
I don't know because I'm mostly focused on the engineering stuff, and rest. They are planning their events according to their own vision, and I don't know, but they are definitely going to make more events with Bloodrun game. I don't exactly what's in their heads, but about it, what ideas they have.
Well, Sergey, thank you for your time and for talking with me today. That's going to be the end of my questions. So, everybody, that was Sergey. We were talking about his new Quake 3 mod, Bloodrun, basically putting Quake champions into Quake 3. I think it's a really awesome idea. I'll be following it closely. Join his Discord if you want to learn more and ask questions and keep up with the project. And I will post updates to my channel when I see some really cool updates. So, Sergey, thank you again for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting me. Really appreciate it as well.